Welcome to the Heart of the Father gathering for October. This session marks a turning point in the book. The first two wounds we discussed were wounds that, at least for me, happened during my childhood. Wounds of shame and separation, or if you prefer, abuse and rejection. The second two wounds that we talk about in the book are wounds which occurred during my adulthood. Wounds of injustice and condemnation, or even betrayal, if you will. And that brings me to an important clarification. I think this is something that's not often understood. You see, we don't stop getting wounded when we become followers of Jesus or when we become adults. Life still throws stuff our way. And religion wants and expects that we get better and we stay better. In other words, maturity is having it all together. And the point isn't just to get over it, but to avoid further wounding. And what that actually means in practice is not just the healing of your heart, but the shutting down of your heart. Because the only way you're going to avoid further wounding is if you shut your heart down and you build up walls and barriers. There isn't any other solution to that. And in contrast, as sons and daughters, we receive comfort and we give away comfort. We guard our hearts, but we keep them open. Listen to the words of the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3 to 7. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort. His revelation is that God the Father is the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort. That's how Paul sees God the Father. He is the God of all comfort. I mean, just think about that for a second. Think about how you see the Father compared to that. For Paul, the Father is the God of all comfort. I think it's his version, if you will, of Revelation 21, 3 and 4, where the Father comforts and wipes away our tears. Now notice this, verse 4. Who comforts us in all our affliction. What tense is that? That's in the present tense. Wait, so the mighty Apostle Paul still needed to be comforted in the present. Despite everything that he's gone through, everything that he's experienced, he needs comfort in the present, not just in the past. What's the point? So that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. We're comforted not only for our own benefit, but for the benefit of others. And he says that a few more times just so we really get the point. Verse 5. For as we share abundantly in Christ's suffering, so through Christ we share abundantly in comfort too. If we are afflicted, it is for your comfort and salvation. And if we are comforted, it is for your comfort, which you experience when you patiently endure the same sufferings that we suffer. Our hope for you is unshaken, for we know that as you share in our sufferings, you will also share in our comfort. And in Philippians 3, 10 and 11, Paul speaks about knowing Jesus in the power of his resurrection and in the fellowship of his sufferings. I'm more and more convinced that those two things go hand in hand. By his stripes we are healed. By our stripes, he brings healings to others. Here's my point. As my friend Stephen Hill would say, the Christian life is not a pain-free life. It is a comfort-filled life. Because life is still going to come at you, but the Father is going to comfort you again and again and again and again, as often and as many times as it takes. And if my own journey is anything to go by, then my experience has been this: rather than my emotions being healed and locked up to avoid feeling more pain, my emotions have been resensitized and my heart has been enlarged to love more people more deeply, and I've experienced more pain. I'm just being honest. Of course, I've also experienced more love and more affection and more joy and a lot of other good stuff too. But the point isn't that maturity is this place where we become stoic and untouchable and unaffected and unemotional and not in tune with anything. That's not maturity. That's being shut down. It's a very masculine definition, isn't it, in its own way? And the Father, like I said earlier, has more than one kind of love for us. He has committed love, which is fixed. He will never cease to love us. But he also has compassionate love. In other words, his heart gets stirred towards us. You know, as parents, as uncles and aunts and siblings, we know that. There are times when we see something happen to someone and our heart is stirred, isn't it? And you kind of can't help but move in that person's direction. It might just be a little child tripping over and bashing their knee, but what do immediately? Your heart's moved and you get up and do something. And the Father feels both of those things for us, that committed, fixed love that's never going away, that you can rely on night and day, and that passionate or compassionate love when he sees you in the moment when you need him most. Those things are both in play in your relationship to the Father. And we need to experience them both. I mean, just look around you. People's pain is so obvious, isn't it? I've noticed this ever since COVID. It felt like what happened with COVID somehow, like it brought pain closer to the surface. And people used to be better at hiding it, but now they kind of can't anymore. It's got harder. There's a secular speaker called Brené Brown, and she says this: we are the most obese, medicated, addicted, and in-debt Americans ever. Why? I'd suggest it's because we don't know how to access the comfort of the Father. And so we default to the comforts of food, of drink, of drugs, of sex, of shopping, of whatever else it is, which is how we end up in all those spaces. So again, let me make that even more personal. In the chapter we're about to listen to, I write about a wound. And part of my reaction to it, right after it happened, was I'd get out and I would walk. I'd go out to Pheasant Branch in Middleton, which normally takes Ali and I maybe an hour and a quarter to do the big loop. And I'd walk it in probably about 2/3 of that time. And I'd get out of my car and I'd start walking, and the first thing out of my mouth would be, Father, just so you know, I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with what just went down. I'm not okay with it. And I think I said that quite a few times over the next while. Well, something happened to me 2 weeks ago, and it hurt a lot. And so I found myself going out for a walk and saying, Father, just so you know, I'm not okay with this. And then going out the next day for another walk and saying, Father, just so you know, I am not okay with this. And I came back from one of those walks and I went in my special room that I've made for me and Jesus. And I got this fold-out foam mattress thing that I'll lay down on sometime. And I just lay down and I wept out loud for half an hour. And I asked him to comfort me. And when I got up, it was better. I don't mean everything had gone away. The circumstances hadn't changed. But I was better because I'd received comfort. So this isn't something you grow out of. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make here. You don't grow out of needing the Father's love and comfort and affection, because life's still going to come at you. People are still going to do dumb things. Sometimes you'll do the dumb things. You see, I don't want a shut down heart. I want a tender heart. I remember years and years and years ago. I mean, I'm talking about, sort of prehistoric times when I'm not even sure Ali and I were married yet, but we might have been just. So, we're going back a bit. And as cool as I ever was, which wasn't very cool, I wrote on one of my pairs of jeans, "Father, keep my heart soft." Because even then I knew there was something about that I didn't want to be shut down. I wanted to have a soft heart, tender heart. One that loves the Lord and loves others. In fact, I've written a declaration that I have, which is based on the words of Jesus in Mark 12:30. And I'm just confessing what he says about me back to him. So sometimes I will say, "I shall love you with all my heart. I shall love you with all my soul. I shall love you with all my mind. And I shall love you with all my strength." I'm agreeing. He told me that's how it was going to go, right? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength. I'm going, yeah, that'd include me then, wouldn't it? Do you want to try that one on for size? Say it with me. I shall love you with all my heart. I shall love you with all my soul. I shall love you with all my mind. And I shall love you with all my strength. See, I think that was more a promise than a command. So the Father's saying, I will get you to the place where you are so wholehearted that that's what it looks like. And that's part of this thing about being comforted in the places of wounding, because what we do in wounding is we compartmentalize. And I want to be wholehearted. Because that's who I was born to be. A wholehearted person, a man of a different spirit. And I'm not settling for anything less. So, Father, I ask that you would comfort us and heal our hearts, that you would give us so much comfort that we have some to give away. I ask that you give us grace to process pain more quickly. I ask that you would give us Isaiah 61 ministries so that other people's hearts are healed as you flow through us. And I ask that for every wound we've received, thousands upon thousands would receive comfort and freedom. That the comfort with which you comfort us would comfort them, and that the enemy would regret the day he ever messed with us in the first place. I don't know about you, but there are just times I have to go on the offensive. There's just times for me where maybe I'm getting pummeled. Maybe the enemy's hit me a couple times with a couple of uppercuts, and I'm going, I am not making this easy for you. I'm going to find a place to stand, and I'm going to find a place to fight. I love something I heard in a podcast a while back, and that was was Paul Manwaring. He was being interviewed by Leif Hetland, and he said, the fight that comes to you, you fight from your identity. The fight that you pick, you fight based on your calling and your mandate. So if you're going to go pick a fight, you pick a fight because it's what God's commissioned you to and called you to. When the fight comes to you, you step back and you're like, I am a son, I am a daughter. And you fight from your identity.